So I'm Brenda Wolf, and this is
Alan Cassidy.
And we're going to do the introduction to Hub. Oh, and I see our friends, Marcel, hello. You're going to see some, if you've been to previous presentations, you might see some similar slides again, but we're going to do this. All right, so I guess we can just go ahead and get started, and hopefully more people straggle in. We're good in the back? Okay. Alrighty, so introduction to Hub. I always say the Hub is like a really big concept, and we are creating software to support this larger concept. So I just want to touch base on what is that big concept, and we like to kind of start the idea with this kind of smart cities idea, or the notion that every community is trying to be better. You know, cities, counties, states, provincial governments, everybody's trying to be happier, healthier, safer, more prosperous, you name it. But the big question is, how do we get there? Was everybody in the plenary watching Jack yesterday? Do you remember? He's like, you guys have to be part of the change. You have to make a difference, and stand up if you're willing to make a difference. Do you remember? And did you guys stood up? Because if you didn't, you'd look kind of sad. So you all stood up and said, okay, we'll make a difference. But the challenge is, okay, so how? I mean, how do you step outside what you normally do to make a difference? And we've come up with some ideas. You know, there are these big aspirations or visions, and then this idea of an initiative or initiatives as the vehicles for making a difference. And the term initiative tends to be pretty common, I think, in government, at least here in the US. Other places, they may call it a mission or a project, but usually it's an initiative because you're going to initiate and do things. And initiatives tend to be action-oriented, so things like improving parking, or reducing congestion, or improving water quality, or reducing pedestrian deaths, or, you know, there's some action involved typically. And an initiative can be anything. It can be anything of importance to whatever community you're part of. It can be really big, it can be really small. But the idea is that they tend to roll up and support those high-level aspirations that we're all trying that we told Jack we were going to do, right? So the idea too is this Hub concept right now, it's kind of focused on government primarily as the key audience for it. And so think if you are government and you're in the middle of these initiatives trying to get them to go, how do you do that? And one of the ways you do that is first work together internally across departments, which hopefully people do. And then also beyond that, how do you work with the broader community? How do you engage community leaders, nonprofits, universities, residents, citizens that live in your community to actually take part in that initiative with you? So another example of an initiative would be, did you guys stay for the afternoon and see the Trillion Trees? The young fellow who was like amazing at such a young age doing like, let's plant 1 trillion trees. Yes. That's an example of initiative where it's like, we're going to go do something. We're going to go plant 1 trillion trees. And he, in that moment, got us all thinking like, yes, we're going to go.
Actually prompted us to engage and sign up and commit. Right. And yeah, it's awesome.
He wanted us, he gave us an action to do. And he was like engaging us in that initiative. And ideally you want that your bigger, broader community to be informed, to be on board, to be ready to act, to contribute data, to align their efforts with whatever that initiative is, and also to align resources if they have them. Now, just a note, we kind of focus this message on local government, but the Hub concept applies to other sectors as well. So if you're a nonprofit or an NGO, you can imagine yourself in the center of a hub engaging others in your initiatives, right? Commercial as well, other sectors. So it's doesn't only apply to government, but right now it's kind of a key message that we're trying to espouse and push forward. So this is no small feat. How do we do this? How do we get everybody on board and engaged? Well, we're working on technology, and that happens to be called ArcGIS Hub. That is the mission of that is to help you to organize and engage those large communities around initiatives. And obviously we're here at this conference because we know GIS is really useful, and it's useful in getting everybody to understand what's going on, to collaborate, and ideally make data-driven decisions that support those initiatives and the outcomes of those initiatives. So that's the idea behind ArcGIS Hub. And just to give you another visual of the concept of an initiative, if you think of this as the community at large, and you have a small amount of, say, government staff trying to make a difference. Somewhere in the community, there are some potential collaborators on these initiatives. There might be citizens eager to engage and help and do something, and then there's the general public that maybe just needs to be informed. And they're kind of maybe unorganized now, but if you can leverage this idea of the initiative to kind of bring everybody together and focus them and get them pointed in a direction, right? A trillion trees, we're going to plant them, right? We're going to reduce whatever, traffic, we're going to do something. That's the idea of the initiative. And the idea is that you would take potential collaborators and turn them into trusted collaborators that work on your team, your initiative team. And you'd actively engage the public and maybe help them serve as ambassadors to informing the rest of the public, for example. So that's the idea behind this initiative thinking. So it's kind of a big vision. So we have steps, though, to help you get there. We're going to give you a little bit of a roadmap, and we call it the engagement maturity path that we can all walk along to get there. And the very start is what many are already doing or have been doing for a long time, which is one-way communication, like one-way policy communication or message from, say, government. Maybe it's a web page that talks about the idea, and maybe there's some ad hoc sharing of data. That might be the very first step governments take. The next step might be that you let the community self-serve. Maybe there's a single application or ad hoc applications that you put out that provide information or allow people to request services back in. We have a lot of those point solutions here at Esri. We've created a lot of those applications, and there's our ArcGIS solutions applications for local government and state government. So we've been very good at crafting those point solutions to help. And those are part of the story and part of the journey. Another part of the journey is this idea of open data, which came about in around 2007 it started, and now the idea is like, how do we put out all of our data? Hopefully the community will be better informed, they'll do something with it, although sometimes when you put out the data, they don't do anything with it. So it's a good first step, but it's maybe not doesn't have the engagement oomph that you would, the momentum that you would want it to have. So, but it's a good journey. So I think a lot of people are here, a lot of our customers, a lot of people we work with are about there, and they're wondering, how do we take this even further? How do we fulfill Jack's vision, right? Like, get out there and do something. And that's where we're trying to bring people along and say, well, what if you just focused data at a specific initiative or communicated that data in an initiative fashion toward the community, have it be initiative-focused information, as well as how can you have your applications be very geared toward initiatives. The other part of this is, how do you form a team to help you do this, right? Because if you're just supporting government in a GIS capacity, maybe you aren't the leader of the initiative, but you support people who are leading those initiatives. So maybe there's somebody in another team or department that has the vision or it's their job to complete that initiative, but you can support them. So you guys could be on a team. That might be your team. Or maybe there are people in the community that have information that could contribute to this initiative, and then they should be on your initiative team. So how do you bring all this content together, bring applications together, can communicate this initiative to the public? That's who your team, those people should be on your team to do that. So once you have your initiative, what's the next step? The next step would be, okay, how do I really get engagement going? And not just one-way engagement, but two-way engagement, where maybe I'm getting information back from the community and I'm getting it regularly. And even better yet, can I get the community to create applications for me and to really be partners with me on these initiatives? So how do I get to the star? And I don't know anybody who's really solidly at the star, that's really at the end of this arc, but we're walking along the journey. And we had the privilege of seeing some good. There's somebody in the audience, Marcel, City of Zwala. There's some really great examples. If
you're at the star, let us know.
If you're at the star, we always say, if you're there, if you're at the star, we'll put you on stage next year with Jack. You can tell us all about it. But we do have some customers that are doing some really, really amazing work along this journey. And so I'm excited to see them pulling the rest of us along the way. If that's too much to remember, we can simplify this path as kind of being an open data phase. You're doing your open data, and then more of the initiatives type thinking, and then two-way engagement. You could kind of chunk it up as just those three things to remember. So we'll take you along that path. And we'll talk a little bit about how the technology can help you along that path. So we're going to jump ahead and assume you've kind of done open data for the sake of time. We're just going to pretend everybody's at least there with their open data, have data open to the public, maybe some websites communicating it. So how can we help you? What's the idea behind these initiatives, and how can we help with formulating and bringing structure to the initiative type thinking? And if you needed more of a motivation for doing this, or why we as a product are trying to do this, this is one of the reasons why, is that we find so often there's some vision about an initiative. Some executive or government leader has a web page that says, here's what we're going to do, and I'm going to make the city better this way, and we have whatever, picking at your favorite initiative. We're going to do
a policy to change something. Or?
Policy to change something. You can throw one out from the crowd if you have an initiative. Anyway, there's some initiative idea, and they have a whole lot of GIS capability and content in their systems, often from operational uses of GIS and others. But the executives don't always understand the power of what they have and what they could do with it and how they could apply it toward these initiatives. So there's often a gap. Often the GIS folks tend to be really busy and they're not always involved in those conversations. So somehow there's a little bit of a communication gap. So we're using this idea of an initiative or an initiative page or a website or an experience to try to get people talking and to fill that gap. If nothing else, it can be a discussion vehicle that helps people realize that, oh, I can connect GIS to these executive ideas, and oh, these executive ideas can pull GIS across. So it's kind of the meeting of where they come together is this idea of the initiative, right? So it's where the best of both worlds there. Another way to think of it is people at this conference, you've been creating a lot of great applications for a long time and doing amazing work, and a lot of great data is there. Is there a way that you can reorient those pieces that you've built and create, again, that kind of page, that initiative experience that is, we think of it as a web page or a website generally that does it's the way that people communicate and engage. And then can that somehow then tie in or be part of your larger website ecosystem within the government? So dipping down into the tools we have, actual tools we have to do that. So in ArcGIS Hub, we make use of the open data capabilities we have. So if you're familiar with open data, you can build pages. We use the same capabilities in ArcGIS Hub. We take them a little bit further, and I'm tethered to this change, but at the very bottom, there are actually more web page components that you get with ArcGIS Hub. But short story is you get some website design tools to let you craft that website experience and make it beautiful and try to make that easier. We're going to talk a little bit more about how we're making that easier in a minute. But you create this website. In our work with customers creating these initiative websites, we've created a lot of different websites for a lot of different initiatives. We've discovered that there tend to be common elements to them, common components. There's usually some narrative explaining why it's important. There might be a small focused data catalog specific to that. There's definitely usually some place where they're tracking progress or metrics about how well they're doing. And then the beauty of do we have a focused application or story map that conveys what we're doing, some sort of apps. They always want to have a section that says, here's how you get involved, here's how the community, how you can help, ways to engage. And then also, here are our partners. Usually in the footer it says, here are our partners who are working with us on this. Here's who's part of our team. So what we've done is, rather than every customer trying to do this again and again and again, we're thinking, can't we just make this a lot easier by packaging this up into an initiative template or templates? All right, well, do I have 10 minutes? I think my computer's going to restart.
We'll switch over.
Well, you're demoing. I'm going to be restarting my computer. Thank you. So we're thinking, how can we how can we put this in the box for these initiative templates? And so we've created a gallery of initiative templates where we've brought together a lot of those components for you, and that you just have to configure and light up or add your own data to them in order to get a good start. And then you can go ahead and configure what we've put in the box, what we've given you. But we want to give you a way to leap ahead and do that. So I'm going to turn that over to my colleague Alan, and hopefully my laptop will not reboot while he's doing his. And then
we're just going to use this. All right, so as Brenda was mentioning, we at Esri build initiative templates and we put them in the box for you, and I'll dive into the reasonings why we do that, what are the benefits, show some of our current examples, the roadmap of things we'll be working on, and then dive into some demonstrations. So a little bit more on what it is. So what is an initiative template? Brenda highlighted the value and the why, and then these are the sort of the components within it with an example of one that's actually currently in the product today. So fundamentally, an initiative template is a carefully crafted bundle of ArcGIS capabilities that gives our users the ability to execute their own strategies around these various topics that she's highlighted in the form of an initiative. They commonly have these different elements. You'll notice that a lot of these are common capabilities, but they're also ArcGIS capabilities. So surveys, survey 1, 2, 3, story maps, our event capabilities, dashboards, different infographics and charts, and then different analytical capabilities that set this apart from just being a website builder. It has this authoritative data tied underneath the hood that makes it sort of a living and breathing initiative that tends to lead to more engagement. So the benefits, we believe, are sort of in how we design and develop these. So we do this with our own domain experts as well as our ArcGIS expertise we obviously have at Esri. So we have our different industry sector teams, our market experts, our different thought leaders in these different space, as well as users that give us a ton of great sort of like innovative approaches to how they're maybe tackling some of these problems. And so we put all of that into designing something with these characteristics in mind. The value obviously is in the ready-to-use aspect of it. As a Hub customer, you can take these, you activate them, configure them, and tell your own story. And maybe you're 60, 70, 80% further along the journey towards getting something live and getting constituents engaged if you leverage some of these. We also see that they can just act as inspiration or like a playbook. Maybe you already have something you've worked on, but you've seen the way we've crafted our sort of economic development solutions, and they act as sort of a guide to reconfigure what you had already done potentially, or adopt components of it. We do truly believe that these initiatives and the way we build them with our mobile-first approach, ensuring that they work well on any device, and that's our sort of our thought process well of this modern kind of consumer-oriented design. We do strongly believe that they increase the likelihood of engagement because they're sort of going to the place where you're likely to get a constituent to engage. It feels like applications or capabilities they're already using, and so on. And at the same time, they can fill in gaps that that local governments, state governments oftentimes have. Not often do you have a user experience expert or designer, a creative team on staff to craft these for you and things like that. So these are some of the benefits we believe and why we work on these things. So now we'll pivot over to our current initiatives that are available. You saw some of them highlighted in the gallery, and then the roadmap. So currently, for any Hub customer today, they get these initiative templates available to them to activate. So capabilities to reduce homelessness, tackle the opioid epidemic. The next two bullets are under the economic development umbrella. Attract and retain business, grow your local economy, increase community engagement and pride, help current or potential residents understand why your city's the greatest place to live, work, and play kind of persona on that one. Prevent vector-borne disease, and then Vision Zero, or reducing pedestrian deaths as it's referred to, or as the global campaign is referred to. So here we can see some of the roadmap for our future templates, how we're evolving them, and then some of the ones we're working on in the future. So you can see at the UC timeframe, if we're starting on the left here, on your left, we've made some significant updates and upgrades to, or have some 2.0 versions of our opioid initiative, or reducing homelessness, vector-borne disease, and Vision Zero. And then in Q3, looking like the August timeframe, we'll be rolling out two brand new initiatives. The first one is what's called performance management. So as a city, we're measuring our success. We have different indicators around quality of life, public safety, economic equality, various aspects that we want to measure. So we're building an initiative template with different dashboard configurations and different ways where you can have internal monitoring capabilities or be transparent and share with the public on how you're doing with dynamic dashboards that are connected to your source data. So that's what that one will be focused on. And then a maximize infrastructure investment initiative that's all about helping the public understand how they're using your tax dollars to improve roads, bridges, and things like that. So here's how we're spending your money. Here's what we're focused on. Here's specific projects that focus in different areas. Are they on track? Are they over budget? And things like that. And then enhancements to our economic development initiatives that are already there. These initiative templates are fundamentally products within the product, and so we evolve these just like any product, and we take user feedback and then integrate it and so on. And then going forward, we're going to develop a handful of more. So you can see in the Q4 and 2019 and beyond, we'll be working on a climate community resiliency initiative. Volunteerism. So many communities or cities have told us, I'll just use cities broadly, they have collaborators that they want to, and volunteers that they want to better manage, better engage with, and they want to understand more granular characteristics about those people if they're willing to give it. So are they certified in different things? Are they sort of willing to volunteer for certain types of things? Are they, CPR certified and things like that? So volunteerism, preparing and responding to extreme weather events, giving cities, communities the tools needed to help assess and prepare for the potential impact of a storm, tools to manage during the event, and then post-recovery communication and mitigation around what happened. Community planning. So you saw a highlight of this one if you were in the plenary and you saw ArcGIS Urban demoed where they were showing different scenarios, and then they had a web page. It was actually an initiative page where they were highlighting the future potential, and this is where the ArcGIS Hub will connect with the eventual ArcGIS Urban product. The idea that an urban planning division or planning department could have several scenarios they're thinking about, share these out to the community, have discussions, get comments, and then potentially vote and be fully transparent on options and gaining community feedback around potential scenarios. And then strategic planning initiatives, so the ability to help avoid the 80, 90-page PDF that ends up on city websites highlighting their 10-year plan. Imagine an interactive, map-based template that you could plug your future plans into. And then more to come. This is what we're working on today and our current near-term roadmap. And then, we'd love to hear ideas around things you guys are thinking about. So, all right, so let's now take a look at these.
While you're doing that, I'm going to reboot.
Okay, and then if it doesn't all, just okay.
Our IT decided this would be a good time to update things on our machines.
Perfect timing.
This is great.
Okay, cool. So now we'll go ahead and take a look at some of, like we talked about, high-level topics and a lot of slides. Let's look at what this actually means. So I'm logged into the Hub today, and I'm under the Initiatives tab, and you see I'm in the Gallery section. And here, you've got your sort of share open data, begin with a website template, and start on the journey, on the path, and start beginning and creating your open data destination. You can see here we've got a create new initiative. Brenda will cover the details amongst that. She already touched on the capabilities, but that's like, okay, you don't have the template for me today, but we were very interested in the initiative. We're going to create and just get going. And then here you begin to see the ones we were referring to that are in the box, and this gallery will essentially just grow over time, and every Hub customer that that comes on over the coming years will just be able to activate, and we'll grow this community of initiatives. So let's go ahead and look at, sorry for the fast scroll here. So I clicked on the Grow Your Local Economy initiative, and this is about enabling a city to attract and retain business. It bundles different Esri data, our demographic and our tapestry data, along with a high-end application and a website that allows you to engage the community or entrepreneurs, potential business owners. If we look at the site here, you get a quick preview of the sort of website. queuing you. So we create these site templates as somewhat generalized, where we queue you, the hub customer, to leverage different sections in different way, and then highlight an example or an inspiration, but ultimately you can take this and rebrand it all and swap out the parts and add in your own content and overall strategy. So you can get an idea here. We understand that cities are sort of built on sort of common pillars that are attracting business. So we set up the website template for that. We're I understand that cities have initiatives already underway that are more focused on creating sort of revitalizing a downtown or doing certain things that potential business owners or entrepreneurs would want to understand. So that's how this initiative template would work. If we go into another one, and this is one that we just released the 2.0 version of, reducing homelessness. So cities trying to tackle and manage this profound issue, especially here on the west coast of the United States. So you can see here we've got the website template already built in here, and you can see the steps that are typically engaged and sort of outlined in a common initiative. So we want to educate, we want to inform, we want to gain input, we want to gain and understand, we want to share a deeper level of detail, and then we want to sort of monitor the progress of our steps towards reducing homelessness in this instance over time. So homeless services locator here. And then you can see here a lot of different survey options. So we've pre-configured a lot of different surveys, survey 1, 2, 3, in this initiative in the web page, designed to help focus on the different personas of individuals in a community and how they would go from maybe being paralyzed with such a kind of a profound topic into how you can help, essentially. So how to get an individual involved, how to get a business owner involved, how to sign up just a general volunteer. And different crowdsourcing different ideas, and then monitoring progress. So I'll give a sample here of one of the dashboard to show you what the configurations in these initiatives look like. So this is a dashboard that we've designed that highlights different aspects that are commonly measured when looking at homeless point in time counts or the different demographic aspects of homelessness. You can see here that you would then basically take this dashboard, you could make it public, you could do this for internal monitoring, and we've got sample data in here, and then you could reconfigure it as needed, basically. So if we go ahead and look at the website now, you can if I were to click on the preview for that site template, I'm bouncing around a lot here. I hope I'm not disorienting anyone, but this is sort of the website template where you can sort of place and brand it as you would like. We go with some national stats to highlight the significance of this issue. These could all become live data stats cards that are tied to your specific information in your community. Setting up the website template to highlight common reasons, but this would be for the hub user to highlight what are the main factors that are impacting their community, and how can a user learn more or a community member learn more. You can see the dashboard here. We do a lot of highlighting, incredible inspirational examples of communities, people, organizations that are basically, making incredible progress or doing efforts. If some of you are familiar with this mayor in Albuquerque that had this program that was very successful. So we highlight that. Highlighting hometown heroes, proactive solutions to reducing homelessness. Again, all of this is configurable. If I was to get into edit mode, you can change and orient all of this, swap out things you don't like, swap in things that you'll be focused on later, and so on. So I'll show a couple more here, and then we'll go back to So again, a recently updated tackling the opioid epidemic. You can see the site template in there. We've got a story map template that's a beautiful way to sort of tell the impacts of this terrible epidemic on your community. The ability to communicate different treatment options. So this is an interesting one where we've learned and worked with some of our close users that are trying to tackle this issue, as well as some of our internal thought leaders around this that have been personally impacted by this epidemic, where we have an empty bed locator that actually allows, local rehab facilities, nonprofits in the area can actually input information about availability of resources, and if they're focused on women or different sort of aspects that are unique to their treatment offerings, that then actually are published then on the services locator by the Hub customer. And it's done so in a way that makes it very intuitive to where it's almost live in looking at how you can offer help to someone that maybe has a small window of time they're willing to accept help. Again, lots of different surveys that are personalized to attract different people to get engaged and highlighting ways they can get engaged. Different sort of prevention aspects, so alternative pain management things where I can drop off drugs, highlighting where drug activity might be happening, using a lot of our configurations of solutions that we've had, but ensuring that they're mobile, responsive, and feel modern. Again, another dashboard here. So I'll highlight two more just really quickly and we'll go back over.
We're almost there.
Okay, cool. So prevent vector-borne disease, again, giving a city the ability to highlight for the community the main vectors that they might need to be concerned about. What are the most prevalent things happening in their community? Again, surveillance, what's happening, a web map and a nice application highlighting where there's been instances of West Nile or Lyme disease or things like that. Different areas, where are we spraying? How do I not get my area and sprayed? Different things like that. And then different sort of stats and, again, dashboards. What are the common things we're doing? Stuff like that. Show one more before we head back over.
We might have to pull them up.
Okay, so I got my PowerPoint up. So, again, Vision Zero, you mentioned reducing pedestrian deaths. So similar thing here, highlighting main factors. The city can kind of highlight what's going on in their community, what they're doing, things like that. So hopefully that gave you an idea of some of the kind of recent updates and what we're sort of trying to achieve here with the initiative templates that we are building. So
we'll see, it's coming.
Okay.
So I'm in the reboot. I'm not. It's just all hosts. So let's see.
Okay, so
I'm trying to. If you have it handy.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, good.
Right
Good.
now.
Okay,
Cool.
perfect.
And creating an initiative. All right. So back to you, Brenda.
Awesome. Yay. There's nothing. I give it all. There's nothing worse than really you have to reboot me now, and then anyway. Yes, I've apparently been bad in a past life. All right, so we got a little feedback. Is it?
Yeah, let me step away from
Okay, I think we're too close. All right. So Alan showed you the kind of the templated templates, are the ones that we've created for common issues and desires in the community. But what if you don't have one of those? More often than not, you will create your own custom initiative, right? You have very specific needs and wants and initiatives. So we have a create your own or a custom initiative template in the product. It gives you a generic site template and then suggests apps, but you're such experts, you probably already have your own existing applications that you could add into this. So if I were to activate this custom initiative and say I wanted a Save the Trees initiative, you would get this administrative environment. It would allow you to manage your content in your website experience. You would also have the ability to manage your team. So choose your team members. It's like choosing dodgeball. If you're in the US, you pick who's going to be on your team. It can manage your community events, and we'll go into that a little bit more. And then also we have community dashboards and ways of managing those outside community members that are part of your hub, which we'll show a little bit more as well. Part of that default or initiative site template, and this will be a risk on your Mac, is opening that. Can I open that? Where's your mouse? Whoops, go back. There you go. I can always. It has to be in play mode to click the.
Yeah, I might not be logged in to the same org.
It doesn't matter. It's public.
Let's go to.
Can we switch it to? Can you do duplicate?
I lost mine.
Oh yeah, you don't have it. Can you edit the hyperlink?
Old school.
Yep. Trying to get fancy. So this is we've just this past week updated the default website template that you get. So if you do create your own initiative, this is what you would get as a website template that you can edit. It just says, it gives you cues or clues what to put in. So like name your initiative. And you can change out all the images in this template. You can totally go to town changing the format, deleting rows, adding tools and widgets. So like I said, we have all those website editing capabilities. And as I scroll down, it gives you just a nice look and feel. You can describe the mission of the initiative, the goal, your progress, tracking those statistics and how well you're doing. There's a nice little infographic or a graphic that's editable that you can put in the steps on how somebody can engage, or you can have it be instructional steps. You can totally repurpose these for whatever creative idea is in your mind. You can, focus, provide information on key things like key projects or key aspects of the initiative. Again, swap out the images, swap out the text, swap out your hyperlink for these calls to action. So maybe this links to a story map that you've created or another page that you create. So it's really up to you to be creative, but the good news is that there's this nice, attractive looking website, and I've used this a lot. It has saved me a lot of time to just switch out images, and I'm not a designer, but I can actually make a decent looking web page. There's a web map card in the story map, or a web map widget that you can add in your own web map and have it be part of the story. And then there's, again, this event calendar that you add your events to, and they will show up on this calendar in the events list, and then follow this initiative. So I don't know if you're logged in, if I click follow, if a community member selects follow this initiative, it'll encourage them to make an account in your hub, which they can do with Facebook or Gmail, and then they will be following your initiative, and you can reach back out to them and email them. So again, all this is completely configurable and
all mobile ready.
All mobile ready, responsive
works
design.
Great on the phone. Yeah.
So you can swatch that. So how do I get back to the?
Yeah. Let me.
How do I drive your thing?
Team.
Teamwork. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we've been focusing a lot on the kind of the content aspects of this. So the next step would be, okay, how do I manage my team? And just some thoughts on engagement, because we used to think it used to be the city or the county or government would create the initiative and engage directly the citizen. What we've, in other words, like this picture, create this website, everybody's going to come and engage with my website using these tools. What we found is what people really want is to make use of virtual community members or virtual team members out in the community as part of their team. So the reason they do this is, in many cases, government alone does not have all of the data. They need to have a complete picture for the initiative. But others in the community do. Other NGOs have that information. Universities are doing research and gathering data. So how can they make those people part of their virtual team? So that's one mode of community engagement that makes the picture really interesting. Another one is a lot of the people you're trying to reach with your initiative are not the types that may be online or using a web page or a mobile app. So if you're trying to reach the homeless, or we're working with the city of Columbus and they're trying to engage pregnant women and women who've just had children in order to reduce infant mortality. And again, those people may not think I'm going to go to a web page and learn all about this. But what they've done is they are installing or asking for volunteer community ambassadors to go out and reach that target population they're trying to reach. And then those community ambassadors or trained volunteers would be the ones to use that initiative content. So, I mean, sometimes you can be a little disillusioned and think, well, who's going to come to this website or work with this? Actually, it might be trained volunteers who really need those tools to go out and work with the community. Yeah, so those are those close collaborators. And what's great about ArcGIS Hub is, for the first time, anybody in your community can have an identity in your system, in your hub. With that identity, they can do things. They can follow these initiatives. They can register for events. They can sign up for things. Better yet, if you have your pre-existing initiative team with your GIS lead, your friends in the other departments who are leading the initiative or contributing to it, you can add those community members in as trusted collaborators into your initiative team. Okay, so now you can have somebody from that NGO be part of your initiative team and contribute data, or or review website text, right? Or you can have somebody from the public information office in your city look over your site and write the text or manage the events for you. Whoever you need to co-create can be part of your team. Within the product, this would be the team tab. Remember, there's that initiative administration environment that we have. You can have your team. So this is my Imagine Pawnee. This is my fake initiative from another demo. But this is my team. This is my internal team. And if I want to add somebody, I go to the Add Team Member. And you can see I can add members from my community, or better yet, or from the organization. But there's a My Community tab where I can add new people from the community. And before Hub, there wasn't a way to really give those people an identity very easily, or login or credentials. With Hub, you can have any member of your community can have credentials or login and become a member. And then the ones that you trust and want to participate, they can be part of your team. You can kind of promote them to be part of your initiative team. So that's the value there is, who do you want on your team? Is it another somebody from a nonprofit? Is it somebody from another level of government? Is it a student? That's really great. Researcher. So be thinking who you can use as labor for your initiative. The next step is like, okay, we've built it, we've got the initiative, we got our team, we're ready to rock and roll. How do we engage the public in the sustained two-way engagement? And I just like to give a lot of visuals. So the idea is there's the government and then your community, and how can you all work together? And again, we've been using this idea of the initiative to bridge the gap and align everyone. We've talked about using your current assets and creating the experience, organizing data, creating applications, all of that through a website or mobile experience that then reaches these community users who can follow things, attend events, take surveys, provide feedback, gather data, contribute data, comment, and all those activities that you want them to do to engage. So that's the idea. One example of this, one customer that's going along the Hub journey is the city of Maple Ridge, British Columbia. They're doing really good work. And they're starting to move along from open data to thinking more along initiatives. So what they've done is they've started to have very purposeful hackathons or events where they're trying to encourage people to develop applications around a particular thing. In this case, this is an economic development initiative, and they're having a code-a-thon to get community members to participate. And so they're using these community identities, and anyone can create an identity or get an account. And so maybe Jill Coder signs up, she wants to participate. With her identity, then again, she can register for their events. She can follow this economic development initiative. She can sign in. In other words, she's got a status right in the system.
Working in the same environment, the likelihood of the results of a great hackathon to actually potentially turn into something is increased.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So because she's part of your system, and I should pause because it's going to come up in questions, is where are these identities? Is her identity mixed in with your organization? That's probably the first question people might ask, and the answer is no. So if you have your ArcGIS Online organization, these community identities that we're giving are secretly in a secret second organization that is separate but connected to your ArcGIS Online organization. And we've developed a special communication channel between those two organizations so that you can pull them onto your team, you can access content, you can do things through that conduit, but they are kept separate. So you don't have to worry about these community identities seeing something they shouldn't in your ArcGIS Online organization, or doing things they can't, or messing up your environment or anything. And they don't have to worry about worrying about being in your system. They're kept nicely separate, but connected. So the good news is that activities that when somebody signs up for an event, you can measure that in your system. It's a holistic system. And the reason I say that is today, people are using tools like SurveyMonkey, external survey tools. They're using Eventbrite to create events. And then what they're trying to do is export that data, add geography to it, piece it together, and then try to tell the story in their GIS environment. And the benefit of Hub is no, it's all there, and you can connect the dots right away. So you'll have where was my event, how many people attended, who attended, you can map that, you can see it. Survey, you can start to build a profile, and you can start to understand what types of people are where, and who's giving me contributions from where, right? And then if I'm not getting contributions in a certain spot, I can target that. So that's the benefit of all this. So Jill Coder creates an identity in our system, and now, as I said, she we know we have a community member management tab and reporting tab, so we can see she's now a part of our Hub community. We know which initiatives she is following and interested in. So if we come up with some plan, or maybe there's a winner in the competition and we want to email people who attended this event or signed up for this initiative, we can email her and communicate back out. And then over time, what we do is we start to track how well are we doing at engaging people? How many people are we getting into our Hub over time? How many people are interested in this initiative? And can I leverage them now in some volunteer event where they can do something like go gather data or comment on our plans? So that's the idea. You're starting to track and manage your community. I mentioned events. We have a redesign. We have an events system in there today. It's pretty good, but we have a whole new redesign coming in the next couple of months that's very spiffy and fancy. And the bright pink colors just means that those are the areas where it will inherit your brand and your theme colors. But a new event system, mobile friendly, just it should be lovely. So that'll be out in the next couple of months. And then, the Hub is a journey. We encourage people to walk along that swoopy arrow, but we are also walking along the swoopy arrow in terms of product and what we're building and doing and building out. So some of the areas we're working on are making websites easier to create, to be beautiful. We're putting a lot of beauty in the box, but we also want to make it really easy for people to edit those. We have the new event system. We're going to add a lot more engagement tools like commenting and discussions, and we want to support those workflows, engagement workflows we talked about. So making that easier. Also tracking initiative activity specifically, and then letting community members, as they get their identity and they start doing things, letting them have a profile that they can control and manage so they can see their event notifications, they can see which initiatives they're a part of, they can see initiative activities. So that's important, letting them feel like they're part of the system. And then there's some other things like, improved search for finding content and that. So we actually have a huge long backlog. Those were just some of the highlights in terms of product. So we've been talking a lot about technology and product, but the Hub, again, is this big concept of getting everybody to align around something. And it's more than just technology. It's a lot of it is people and process, as we learn, people, process, and technology. People are sometimes the hardest part. So we actually have been working with a lot of customers, and our services team has worked with a lot of customers, and we found things that indicators of success, that you will be successful, and things that you should work on in order to be successful. And we've come up with a Hub blueprint. It's sort of a structure to walk through. Technology is just one of those columns, but we also look at things like leadership, the vision. Do you have a strategy? How do you want to engage? And you can walk through this blueprint and see if you are Hub ready or initiative ready, if there's work you need to do internally. And again, each one of these boxes gets blown out into a full thing that you can achieve. If you have our services help you, they do something that they'll come in for a day or two and work with you and your initiative teams and the stakeholders and the everybody. And they'll, one of the fun things they do, actually, was a customer thought of this, is that they wanted to self-score themselves or do a self-assessment and see, rank themselves from 1 to 5 in each area and see how well they were situated. And then they came up with a Hub score, how Hub ready and good were they. And then that gave them a roadmap for where they needed to make improvements and work. So there's a session tomorrow, Wednesday, at 1 p.m., which is our Hub services team talking about best practices for ArcGIS Hub and implementing Hub. And I suspect they will include this, but that's, if you're curious about kind of the people process nature of this and how to go about making a successful initiative or Hub, that would be a really good session to go to, and that's at 1 o'clock tomorrow. So with that, some other help, I think Alan has other ideas for how you can find resources to help you. So.
Yeah, so aligned to the idea that our services division at Esri is helping users with envisioning, readiness assessment, and then building out. We're actively enabling our partners around this Hub product. The partner opportunity around this is significant. We have so many great Esri partners, startups, and distributors that have different geographic expertise or domain expertise or implementation service expertise. So they're going to be a key resources for Hub customers going forward. So ultimately, our vision for them is that they serve and transform customer organizations. They do these implementation services. The Hub is a product, but as you can see, how does it work with other systems, helping users implement the product, but then connect it in different ways to make sure it's sustainable, help to assess whether it makes sense to do different things with different part of their existing systems and so on. Developing custom initiatives. I think this is going to be a great opportunity for our partners, and they're going to be a great resource for you all, because we have a lot of partners that have expertise in economic development or certainly public safety, and they've been expert in these industries and leaders in the industries forever. So taking you on that initiative journey, adopting one of our templates or using the create your own capabilities to launch something and helping you sustain it and grow it and develop it over time. Organizing your data, a lot of the effort and importance and need to sort of have a strong foundation of being able to share open data in a sustainable way, not as just some one-off event, getting all that data organized, what can be shared, what cannot. We have a lot of partners that are expert in this. And then building out solutions. Maybe you need a solution or a reconfiguration, or you really liked something that you had built before for something else, and we showed that you can actually substitute that in for something maybe we've included, or you include it in one of your create your own initiatives that you're creating. So a lot of help from our partners that we're sort of enabling them, and then future Hub customers can take advantage of this. And these are the types of partners that we are actively focused on enabling. Of course, implementation services, as I mentioned, solution providers. We have a ton of great startups doing some incredibly innovative solutions. I recommend you all end up in the startup zone at some point to check out some of these sort of leading edge partners of ours. Content and data services providers, open data specialists, again, help with that open data foundation or create that initial destination. And then our nonprofits. Our nonprofit organization, we look to them, and even our education team in making that connection, helping to make that connection that Brenda highlighted of maybe a university or a local nonprofit has the ability to take the Hub product and be more agile than the local government, maybe actually help them on the Hub journey, and so on. So these are the types of additional resources that Hub users can and gain when they jump on this journey. Cool.
Great.
Right,
and then,
so
I guess give you some homework, since you all stood up with Jack, yes, we're going to change the world. I guess what you can do now is start doing some initiative thinking. What are key initiatives that you, if you go back to your organizations, could you join in on, or could you lead or kick off? Or maybe just start a conversation, right? And try to fill those gaps between GIS and that executive vision, I guess, is your mission. How can you help? Also, think about what data you have that could support initiatives today. Maybe they don't even, people probably don't even know what they're sitting on in terms of available data and capabilities. And also, do you have an open data site? If so, can you pivot it to just be a little bit more initiative oriented or engaging, right? Engaging, right? Instead of just here's all the data, can you have another page that is in a specific initiative page around something? Doesn't have to be
the story and the context.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be controversial. Anything. It could just be safety or something, right? And you could take a step in that direction. Is the idea. And then who can be on your initiative team? Maybe start to eye some people, make them part of your team. A group, yeah.
So recruiting.
Yep. And are you are there community partners in your where you live that have information that can be part of your team and those resources? So that's the idea. If you want to learn more, I think some of these are now scratched off. But we have, again, that Esri best practices session for implementing I mentioned. We have a Hub envisioning demo skit again tomorrow morning, where I show a little bit of this in context of a realistic scenario, if you want to see a little acting. And then we have all kinds of demo sessions. I don't know. Yeah, Tuesday. Yeah, so some of these are scratched off, but check your Hub agenda for more of the demo theaters. I didn't have space to list all of the demo theaters. We also have a Hub booth, Hub and Open Data booth, down in the exhibit hall to the back toward the right, where we have a whole lot of people there to help you with open data, Hub initiatives, engagement, and we'll talk to you. Happy to talk to you. And then also, fill out your survey, and we'll take questions, or it's time for, oh my goodness, so many questions. Okay, I'll start there in the front. Hello. Okay, 3 questions.
They're simple though. First is there a limit to the number of community members that can be a part of this? The second is...
Let me answer that one. Is there a limit to the number of community members who can be a part of this? No. Unlimited community members with a local government license of Hub. Next one.
Next one is this, you mentioned nonprofits being one of the potential targets. Is this actually part of nonprofit pricing? Or is this like something that will merge into that?
Is it, so this is useful for nonprofits? Is it part of nonprofit pricing? Not the, I know there's some nonprofit like bundles and enterprise, I forget what they call it, agreements for nonprofits. It's not part of that, it's separate, but it's very reasonably priced.
So
it
if
has
you're a
its own
member
pricing.
of that program, you get a deep discount.
Yeah.
And over time, maybe they'll bundle it into their other offerings.
Maybe, but so there's the if you are a nonprofit, the pricing's a little different because we can't say infinite because that doesn't work. We have to put some number on the number of communities. For nonprofits, it's still super inexpensive, but we ask you to guess at a community size, and you could always upscale that. So you might say, oh, I think my community is going to be 1,000 users, and buy that. And then you could always add on in packs of 1,000 community members. So I can explain it to you later. It's pretty, but we do.
I want to know examples of nonprofit organizations.
Oh, we have, yes. Okay, we'll talk later. Okay, did I get the 3? Okay, other questions? White?
Is this similar to LGIM that you have a database schema for them to come in and if they're going to be populating and bringing in data and you've got different partners, how are they all putting it into the same collection?
I don't know what LGIM is.
Local government.
Information model? No.
Have a database schema.
We don't impose a database schema. Those applications that we've shown and Alan showed that are part of the template, we'll ask you for data. We'll say, well, we need these fields or these indicators, and then you match them up to your data. You find those data and layer it. But we don't impose. There's no schema. It might, you might have to do some adjustment.
We're aligned to it, but not. Yeah. It's not required to.
You might have to do some adjustment of your data. In some of these cases to make sure it lines up with what the templated app is asking for, but it's not that heavy of a concept. And a lot of times so it's not that heavy, it's not that structured there's no big schema that you have to follow. So, yes. Oh, sorry. Oh, I was behind you, but I didn't see her. We'll go with you first and then back. Okay.
Okay, I have 2 questions. One is, I know ArcGIS open data is
Yes.
have ArcGIS online.
Yes.
This is separate product. Different.
Yeah, so what's the relation, basically kind of the general question is what's the relationship between ArcGIS Hub and open data? And open data is free and included with ArcGIS Online, right? So we are taking, that still remains included with ArcGIS Online. So there's no extra cost for that. And you can create sites and pages with open data. What's different with Hub is so you think of that arrow, the first third was like open data, and then you have initiatives and community engagement. The Hub part that you would license would be, okay, once you've got your pages there, there's the initiative structure in Hub. So like, how do you manage your initiative team? Who's on your initiative team? The events are part of ArcGIS Hub. The engagement, the community identities for community members is part of ArcGIS Hub, not open data. So if you're going to do a lot of initiatives and structure your teams and your content and things and initiatives, and you want two-way engagement, then you could start with open data and then add on ArcGIS Hub when you're ready to do more, if that makes sense. So Hub just builds on ArcGIS on data. Or you can think of ArcGIS open data as being part of ArcGIS Online, or you can think of it as being like the first step of ArcGIS Hub. So anyway, it's a free, yeah, behind you.
Yeah, I think you answered my question. You don't need the enterprise to do this.
You do not need ArcGIS Enterprise. So ArcGIS Hub is in online only. It's ArcGIS. The only prereq for ArcGIS Hub is ArcGIS Online. There's a new websites capability that is in an enterprise, which you saw in the plenary ArcGIS Enterprise sites, which uses a lot of the same capabilities that are in open data, that are in Hub. Now those same capabilities are in Enterprise. So there are different ways to get to site creation. Yeah. Question? Yep.
If I'm not a local government agency, is the only way to get to Hub capability is to have a higher level of enterprise license, or how does that work?
If you're not a local government?
Yeah.
You don't have to be local government to have Hub. It's not a prerequisite. And all you need to get ArcGIS Hub, technically, is an ArcGIS Online organization. And then, what's that?
We do have.
Which you do have. And then you would, if you licensed Hub, the way it works is we ask you which organization do you want to Hub enable or turn Hub on for, and you would turn ArcGIS Hub on for that organization.
So to turn it on, I guess the licensing structure is what's the size?
Correct.
It depends on who you are. Yeah, for local government, we price based on population. If you're an NGO, we ask you to give us a ballpark for how big your community is. So it just depends. We can talk what your industry sector is and how we license and price it for you. Yeah. Yep.
Could you go back to your swooping curve slide?
You're asking a lot, man. We don't know about the technology today.
And also, do you have initiatives relating to recreation or habitat conservation?
You would probably use the custom initiative template, but if you're interested in those,
Well, we have increased this increased community engagement and pride is sort of a generalized destination and website where a community can highlight options for people to play in the community, and it's typically recreation, different sort of community elements, or it can be visualized in there, but you could also create your own.
It's so easy to create your own. So I'm doing this demo theater sketch, right? And I'm for the city of Pawnee, and they're building a stadium, totally fake, but I totally can mock up an initiative in, a couple hours. Just, it's more finding the right images, more than the content. So it's really easy to do that. And you could actually take probably any template that's in there, and you could even gut it and totally tweak it. Like if you like the bones of it, but I want to put a parks thing in here. Just put the parks thing in there. It's.
Keep it in a development mode before
Yes.
you open it up?
Yes. So you can keep these initiatives private. You can share them they can be shared with your initiative team. They can be shared with your organization, or they can be shared with the public. So there may be initiatives like if you wanted to, you technically would never have to make public. You could even have some internal ones that you're like, that's just for us. And then, make public. Because even when you share to your organization, remember those community members are not in your organization, so you don't have to worry. You're not sharing to those community members that you have identity, so you don't have. It's just like before. Yeah. So, more questions?
Will you make a version for ArcGIS Enterprise?
We're listening. So the question is, will we create a version for ArcGIS Enterprise? The sites, ArcGIS Enterprise sites, was kind of a first step toward that. It was the first step of creating a site in Enterprise. But what's not in Enterprise will be this initiative idea where you're collaborating with teams. And then we haven't done it because also what does it mean to have a community in Enterprise, or how would you serve the community? So we have some things to figure out, and we're looking for customer feedback on the uses and use cases before we committed to that. So we could, if a lot of people want it, we probably will. So just come talk to us, vote for it, let us know how you want to use it.
Are you a commercial organization or?
State of Geneva.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So there's a hosting thing, maybe, aspect of that. Okay, any other questions? 4 questions.
Can you enable a community member to create initiatives?
You
Or
could.
have to be a member of a team, or how does that
You
work?
could. So the question is, could you have a community member create initiatives? And yes, you're touching on an internal debate we have. But technically, you probably could. But you wouldn't just. Right now, we don't have it so that you just turn initiatives over to the community, because we're not sure people really want that. Because then you get a lot of initiatives spinning up, and it's just like almost chaos. So what we were thinking is, you as an entity hosting that, you could create a team, invite that community member to your team, and then they have the creation capabilities you do. You can say, okay, I want you to be and then it's like, okay, go create one. But at least you would have tapped the person you want and maybe had a conversation, and then they would create the initiative. That's where we are right now. We haven't just turned this inside out to the community and say, because we're not sure if our customers want that or not. So that's what. Question?
So what I'm envisioning is like a floodplain map, right? And I want people to be able to take a picture of their storm drains and show if it's clogged.
Yes.
So would any single person in the public have the ability to write and not delete and query whatever? So they can query whatever. They can't pull data from it. They can only add to it. Is that possible?
Yes. So we're working with so it's funny because we've been working internationally. What you mentioned is similar to an initiative in the Netherlands where they're wanting people to report street flooding. Actually, they've made it, and we've helped them templatize that initiative for street flooding, similar thing. So those community identities, right now we're working to be able to, like if it's a survey or something like that where you're crowdsourcing, to put a login in front of that for that identity. That's what we're working on this fall, so that you could say, okay, you can report it, but you have to log in first with your identity. And we would do that so that they don't override other people's data, but they can see their own data, is where we want to go with it. Is that what you're asking for? Like, I want to see my entries, but I don't want to.
Well, kind of, but let's say there's one person and they're taking 8 pictures of a storm drain, because, like there's 2 different sides of it, they want to show how it's clogged on all sides. That could potentially be multiple entries. But let's say it would just be like K133, that would be the name of this culvert, right?
Yeah.
So it could be pre-assigned to a feature, an attribute.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can only add, data to these 50 areas.
Yes. So kind of having a topological knowledge of like, you can comment here, you can draw here, you can do things here, but not here. We're actually working on redesigning a crowdsourcing application that's actually in design right now. And that's actually one of the things that they show and we talk, yes, we have that in mind. Because we didn't think about storm drains, we always think about like people editing, where do you want the park? Or if you could draw this, where would you do it? And we don't want silly things like, no, you can't draw there. You can't put the park in the street. Like, topological rules applied. So that's what we're working on for our crowdsourcing app. That would be part of the hub that would go out to the community. So we're working on just that. So it's good to know that you want it. Yes? Oh,
You can work with this and add photo attachments?
The hub right now is, you could, yes. I mean, yes. Because it's almost like, if you think about those initiative web pages, if you could embed, for example, our just solutions.
Yeah, I had a couple examples of photo survey or survey 1, 2, 3.
Yes. You could put that on a website, right? Or at least have it be one of the apps that the community can access. Yeah. So you can repurpose pretty much everything you've been doing. It's just putting it in a nicer framework and a nicer wrapper and then like an engagement wrapper. So it's like glue. Hub is almost like glue that like, all the stuff is now aligned in one initiative and it's clear and it communicates well to the public. Yeah. So you can look like a star with what you've already done, So I thought I had more questions. Don't you 5?
Well,
You do 6, you're buying everybody beer. Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Just kidding. If you have how are initiatives actually? So you enable this for your organization, then you create a bunch of initiatives. Do those initiatives themselves become like microsites, or how did
Yes.
everything gets pushed back to the one site?
Yeah, an initiative. Technically, an initiative is an item type in ArcGIS Online. It's a new item type. So we actually have something called an initiative as an item in ArcGIS Online, and you can think of an initiative as an item of items. So it's like a wrapper.
Parent-child sort of relationship with other items that you're bundling together.
Yeah. So
it's
yes.
like it's an application.
So let me explain. The website. It's not that the things live in the website. Like the website. So like for a lot of the things, you're pointing to. We could bring up the editor.
Yeah, that's what I was going to.
You're actually pointing to a URL of an item. Or in the case of the gallery card, the gallery widget, you're actually, when you go to configure that, you can point to a group in ArcGIS Online that has apps in that group, and then they show up on the page.
So like this over here, it has the site that's an item, the website. And then you can see the application at the top,
Yeah.
like this kind of map-based thing. So that's an additional item that's bundled as a part of this. And then you've got some different infographics and different data elements at the bottom, and those are additional items as well that has story map in it. That would be another item crafted and bundled
So
together. in
we
this
could bring up
parent-child.
we can bring up the site editor. I could show you too, but I can't wander. So the gallery of apps. There's a gallery of apps like midway down on the page. Let's see. There's a gallery. When you're editing that site, you click on that widget. The configuration will say, would you like to point to a group? And you could actually point to a group of items, or you can hand roll that and bring in a card and link it. There are a number of ways. So it doesn't live in the page. The page has pointers to the content.
So that would be if you wanted to cluster them. So I've got some parks applications. I've got
Yeah.
some water applications.
Yeah.
I've got some whatever health things. Then they're all, you have one website that's kind of clustering them together, but you're breaking those out so that, and any individual community member might only actually be interested
Exactly.
in one.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't care about your other things. I only care about parks. But one thing we talk about is having a hub homepage, which is like homepage of everything that talks about your different initiatives. And you click on one of those initiatives, and it's a different page, almost like a sub-page, sub-initiative. So you could have like your hub, all your different initiatives. I only care about the parks one, and I click on that, and now I'm in the parks initiative. And I'm just going to follow that initiative as a citizen. Or I might come back up, and then I might go back down into your other resiliency initiative. And okay, I'm going to follow that one too. So as a citizen, I can be following a couple of initiatives. Yeah. So you might paint in your mind this hub home, like a hierarchy of like all my initiatives, and then individual initiative, and then we'll stop there. But you can think of it as hierarchical in nature. Yeah. So, and the beautiful part is, like, the more specific the page, the more you're able to really craft the message, and it's not like a zoo of
engagement.
Yeah, it's not just a rant like here's every message. It's really like everything you want to know about parks, and here's a focus application about parks, or about making parks better, so that you're not flooding the user with stuff. So, yeah, good question.
Do you have any recommendations for multiple partner agencies working together at federal, state, local levels, and how they link up together, or
We are
take responsibility for what initiatives?
Well, it depends on who bought the hub and who's like owning that.
Yeah.
It's probably going to drive the conversation. So we're working with the state of Oregon on that. The state wants to have counties contribute information to the state, and they want to use Hub to do that. So they want to give them identities where they push the information in. So it's probably whoever bought it controls it, controls how that flows. We're working with the California
regional agencies that have subsidiaries and things.
Yeah, we're working with a state California on Census 2020, and they're working with a whole bunch of community-based organizations on getting people to fill out their census. So that's a very hierarchical, multi-organization, multi-tiered.
We're looking at salmon recovery in the Pacific Northwest.
Oh, perfect.
Some tribes.
Yeah.
Were you from King County, or were you from?
No, I'm with Recreation Conservation Office, which hosts the Governor's Salmon Recovery Office.
Okay.
And that kind of provides oversight and direction as the state of salmon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you should talk. So that census example is this California Complete Count Committee. So it's like Complete Count Committee. So it's a committee at the executive level is what we're working with, but they are going to work with all those people with feet on the ground, the ground troops, right? And you probably have ground troops that you want them to report back in. The other thing, Alan touched on it, is we have this template. We're making templates. We're working on a template builder where if you make a template and you want others to adopt it, you work on it, you create an initiative and you want others to adopt it, you could templatize it and put it and share
Proliferate it down
And
to
then
your
give everybody-
partners adopting the same thing.
That's probably what we're going to do for census is they will create an initiative or a site experience that will have the apps in it that they want people to use to report data back. And then all those different agencies will get that same initiative template, those same apps. They'll all be gathering data the same way, reporting it back. They'll then roll that back up. There'll be a map probably in there that is the shared data that everybody shared. And so there's a hierarchical sharing that happens that we envision with these initiatives where you're the agency at the top saying, hey, everybody, use my initiative for this. And they go into the hub and they're like, this initiative, great, got it. And you share the initiative and then they start adopting it. So